Peter Obi is part of IPOB, both physically, spiritually, according to Ekpa. According to Simon Ekpa, Peter Obi, the 2023 presidential candidate of Labour Party and leader of the Obedience Movement, is a full-fledged IPOB member. Okay, Simon made this known via his tweet January 2023. But the tweet resurfaced when Peter Obi exonerated IPOB in his tweet this morning while condemning the killing amid sit-at-home in the southeast. The Genius Media Nigeria gathered that rather than publicly criticizing IPOB, he instead exonerated the group. Which group are you talking about? The group of Nnamdi Kanu, because we have factions. We have factions. Even what is this man's name? Nnamdi Kanu, that talked about this sit-at-home order. 2 weeks after, when Ohaneze came up and said, no, this cannot happen. And immediately they suspended it. They didn't even observe it. They suspended it. And Simon Ekpa, which they themselves have even they've debunked, or they have tried to distance themselves from Ekpa, but Ekpa continued to do this. And that's why people are saying, yes, there must be something wrong with this guy, because when Nnamdi Kanu started this whole thing of a sit-at-home order, and it was called upon and said, no, this cannot happen. He said, okay, no worries that he doesn't want to impoverish his people. So why is it that this Ekpa is bent on continuing with this nonsense? Speaking about IPOB and Peter Obi, he wrote, Peter Obi is part of IPOB both physically and spiritually and otherwise. He lied. How? In what way? Well, it is really relative with all this kind of statements. Where this was written, it's just been brought back. Okay, brought back this July, because this was tweeted in January before the election. Somebody was saying that oh, if this guy has said this before, maybe just immediately before the election, that it would have affected Obi. But he said it in January, and election took place in February. So what are we talking about? Recall Peter Obi early Thursday tweeted about the recent happenings in Southeast and toll of IPOB. He tweeted, and role of IPOB, he tweeted of the number of lives and properties lost with very little resistance from security operatives. Also disturbing is the continued disruption of business and social activities in the Southeast region over the sit-at-home directive purported to be coming from the indigenous people of Biafra, when the body has publicly denied issuing such directive. What is going on in the Southeast, therefore, is essentially a criminal activity that must be nipped in the bud, with all hands being on deck, security agencies and the people alike. Exactly. I didn't even get to this before. I said, who are the IPOB members? Is it a Ekpa? It's not recognizing a Ekpa, but this particular statement made by Nnamdi Kanu, that was in 2021 when they talked about this sit-at-home. They didn't even enforce it at all. They didn't even start it, because they were still deliberating on talking about it when Ohaneze or the leaders or the elders in the land said, no, this cannot be. They tried to weigh in and look at everything from holistic side. And they said, no, they just cancelled it. So why is Ekpa bringing this whole thing? So as this man is talking about IPOB has denied it. Who has the... It's only Nnamdi Kanu. If Nnamdi Kanu, and who is the spokesperson of IPOB, is this guy, Ima Powerful. They've denied this guy several times. So he's the one sending himself. Nobody is sending him. The body has publicly denied issuing such directive. What is going on? Something is going on in the Southeast. I remember, what is this man's name? This new House of Rep Ikenga. He's not even having it good with this man, the governor of Imo State, Uzodima. And he said Uzodima is using his men. And there was a time Uzodima told us that this whole thing is just really political. It's political. And they are, of course, they will have an element they are going to be using. And when I hear people talk about, oh, it is good, it is not. It is just even embarrassing you guys. It is this guy is embarrassing you. For as many of you who always come on social media and say, hey, it is good. It is good what? What has he yielded? No, it is good. Do you think anybody has your time? The people that you think that they don't even like you in the first place, if you not gonna be deleting yourselves, you think they will not be happy that you have even made work easy for them. That's what we are talking about. You have to be reasonable. That is exactly what we are talking about. You say they are intimidating you, they are maltreating you, they are marginalizing you, and you have opportunity of you fighting yourselves, and you think they will not be happy. They will just be looking at it as if like, oh, thank God, oh, they are not the ones doing all of these things. And you are telling us that they sit at home. What has it yielded? It has not yielded anything. Why enforcing it? Why enforcing it? If you have a group that you can just come out that and do something, and be on your own, and just every Monday, but not, force it. Everybody cannot be a Biafra person. Everybody cannot stay in Southeast. Everybody cannot be a Nigerian. Some people have really denied, or they have just dissociated themselves from Nigeria. So they have taken other people's other countries citizenship. So what are we talking about? Is it all Nigeria that said they want to be Nigeria? No. Is it all Nigerians that are staying in Nigeria? No. So you can't force people. You cannot force people, no matter how good a place is. In the UK, in the US, in all those developed countries, you think all their citizens are staying in those countries. Some have left and say they want to go somewhere else. So what are we talking about? What are we talking about? It's so ridiculous. So guys, let's say your opinion and have your take on this.